So today we're diving into the pretty radical philosophy of Ajaan Fuang Jotiko. He was a meditation master who believed that the whole point of learning wasn't just to, collect a bunch of facts. It was about fundamentally changing who you are. And his way of getting you there, well, it challenges pretty much everything we think we know about being a student.
And it all starts with a question he might have asked you. And honestly, it's a bit of a zinger. Are you a student or a puppy? I know, it sounds harsh, right? But for Ajaan Fuang, this question got right to the very heart of a huge problem he saw in the way most of us try to learn.
He once said this about students who are just a little too dependent. They're just like baby puppies. As soon as they defecate, they have to run to their mother to have her lick them off. It's a shocking image, for sure, but it gets his core point across perfectly. If you always rely on a teacher to come clean up your mistakes, you're just never going to grow up on your own.
So this whole puppy mindset, it really highlights what he saw as the biggest flaw in learning, just being passive. Ajaan Fuang had a really sharp critique for students who just sat around waiting to be told what to do and what to think. And believe me, he was not shy about saying it.
And he didn't just stop with puppies. He had some other pretty vivid ways to describe this kind of student. He'd compare them to gnats, just constantly buzzing around the teacher, never leaving them alone. But maybe his best metaphor was the spoon in a pot of curry. Think about it. The spoon is right there, it's swimming in all that incredible flavor, but it never ever actually knows the taste. It's such a brilliant way to describe being surrounded by wisdom, but never really making it your own.
And look, the point here wasn't just to be critical for the sake of it. He saw this passive, puppy mindset as the single biggest roadblock to any real growth. He knew that for someone to truly learn, a fundamental, totally radical shift had to happen first, inside their own mind. So, if being a passive puppy was the big problem, what was the solution? Well, his answer was characteristically provocative. You need to learn to think like a thief. Yep, for him, that was the real path to true knowledge.
Okay, so what in the world did he mean by stealing knowledge? It's not about plagiarism, obviously. It's a whole mindset of being proactive. It's about watching your teacher, not just listening to them. It's about being so hyper-observant that you start to figure out the why behind everything they do. It's basically the art of gaining wisdom without needing someone to hold your hand every single step of the way.
This quote right here, this is the absolute core of his entire philosophy. Just notice how it completely shifts the burden of learning onto the student. The responsibility isn't on the teacher to spoon-feed you everything. It's on you to be clever, to be observant, and to actively take the knowledge you need. The teacher becomes a resource to be studied, not just a lecturer to be listened to.
So how do you actually do this? Well, Ajaan Fuang laid out a pretty clear method. First, you just observe. You notice everything they do, from the most boring, mundane stuff to the most profound. Then, and this is the critical part, you have to figure out the reason behind their actions. And most importantly, you do all this without waiting to be told. You take the initiative. You become an active participant in your own education.
Now, this philosophy of radical self-reliance, it's seeped into every single part of his teaching. And one of the most striking and honestly kind of shocking examples was his strict rule against something that most of us consider a basic tool for learning, taking notes.
That's right. Can you imagine a teacher today telling you to put away your laptop and your notebook? Ajaan Fuang actively discouraged it. He saw a danger in note-taking that most of us completely miss. A danger of outsourcing the very wisdom you're trying to gain.
And here's his reasoning. He said if you write down the Dhamma, the teachings, the end result is that it'll all be in your notebook and absolutely none of it will be in your heart. He believed that the second you write something down, you give your brain permission to forget it. It's like you're telling it, hey, don't worry about this, the notebook's got it. The wisdom stays on the page, but it never gets inside you. It never actually becomes a part of who you are.
So think about it like this. Knowledge in a notebook is external, right? It's just stored data that you can easily lose or forget about. But knowledge in the heart is internalized. It's embodied. It's not something you have, it's something you become. And that's the absolute key difference here. It's not about information, it is all about transformation.
And that brings us right to the ultimate goal of this entire approach. All of these seemingly bizarre rules, the provocative analogies, this call to be a thief, the ban on notebooks, they all served one single powerful purpose.
Ultimately, it all came down to this one simple truth. Ajaan Fuang wasn't training walking encyclopedias. He was trying to forge wise people. For him, if the process of learning didn't fundamentally change your character, your very being, then you hadn't really learned anything at all. Period.
And so we'll end with a question for you to take with you. If we apply Ajaan Fuang's philosophy to our own lives, our own world, what skills, what wisdom, what truths are right there in front of you, embodied by the people you admire? What knowledge is just waiting for a thief clever enough to come and steal it?